I know it probably wasn't pretty to go back and rewatch the West Virginia game, but what were just the biggest problems in that one?
Well, we just can't give up explosive plays at the rate that we were giving them up. I mean, that's the bottom line. And when you look at that thing, there was a lot of actually really good things. But when you play really good ball for 4 snaps and on the 5th one you give up an explosive play, it's not going to work. And it was not things that aren't fixable, technique errors, maybe communication bust. But it was frustrating to watch just because that's something that we hadn't done for a while.
Coach Kleiman mentioned that A.J. Parker was maybe back practicing this week. Is he on track to return this week for you?
Yeah, he'll he's been practicing. We'll see how he looks on Saturday.
Okay. And also, when you think back to last year's Oklahoma State game, what can maybe you guys do better against Chuba Hubbard?
Well, I don't know if we did anything well against Chuba last year. I mean, it was and to be fair to last year, it was, we were at a point where we just still were budding, so to speak. I mean, we didn't really have a great grasp of what we were doing. Made a lot of mistakes all over the place. We still didn't have enough knowledge, I guess, to make adjustments that were great adjustments at the time. And so, when he got off and running, we just didn't have a lot of answers. And we just got to do a better job structurally than we did a year ago.
All right. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
Fitz?
Hey, Coach. What is most challenging about this Oklahoma State offense?
The challenging part is that they've got 3 really explosive players at all 3 levels of position. You gotta obviously a tremendously solid ground game with maybe one of the best backs in the country. You've got very dangerous receiving threat, maybe one of the best in the country, and you get a quarterback that can also run and creates problems in the scramble. And so they can attack you from every which way you can be attacked, and that's the challenge.
Was there any lessons to be learned from what Texas did to Oklahoma State?
I thought they did a decent job of keeping Spencer Sanders in the pocket at times. I know that at times he got loose, but we're I do appreciate having Texas now doing what they do defensively, because it at least gives us somewhat of a baseline of how teams might look at us and attack us. As opposed to some 3-down team that runs a bunch of multiple coverages. And so, we're us. We do what we do. And so in a short answer, probably no.
Was it tackling? Did tackling kind of break down for you at West Virginia, just the fundamentals of the art of tackling?
I wouldn't even say necessarily the contact part of tackling, but some of our angles were really poor. Some of our pursuit angles, and we talk a lot about leveraging the ball carrier. We didn't do a very good job of that at times. It was worse than it had been for the last 5 games or so.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
Michael?
Well, Joe, your linebackers seem to get caught in no man's land in a lot of plays last week. How do you remedy that against a team that likes to spread you out and make you play in space?
Well, the big thing is you can't conflict them, from a coach's standpoint. I mean, you can't it's this or this. It's not this. We have to define where we want them to be, and then it's up to them to get them there. I don't they got to trust what they see. They got to trust the keys that they are given, and they just got to rip their fits.
Thank you.
Ryan?
Hey, Joe. The other day, Coach Kleiman said that he thought Drew Wily had been the MVP of your unit so far this season. I guess not that you didn't expect him to be a solid contributor this year, but I guess has he even exceeded what your expectations maybe were for him?
He has. I wouldn't trade him for a defensive tackle in the league.
Wow.
Yeah, he's not a flashy guy. He's not a rah-rah guy, and he doesn't want to be. He doesn't need that. And, he just wants to go out there and play and do his job and be the best he can for his team, and I appreciate that about him, and so do all of his teammates.